I know you team
Yes,
at
sir.
Crawford, but tell me, how's camp going? How's your man's looking? And tell me, what you think that's the most special thing about your man's that people don't really
Well,
understand?
first, you know what I'm saying, it's been said a lot, but his will to win. You know, will is a big thing. You know, your will is a big thing. You know, you can will yourself to do a lot of things. You know, your mind is a powerful tool, probably the most powerful tool you got. And, you know, he got a strong mind. You know, a lot of times, um, when we going through these fights, it seems like it's always a tragedy in between. People don't know that, but it seems like every time we about to fight, somebody passes. Um, but he's able to power through that. Like I say, camp going real good. I think he got up this morning and he been training really hard. He got up this morning and ran 3 miles or something, 3.5 miles or something. Just felt like running, and like I say, he firing on all cylinders. He's feeling real good. He's looking real good, excited, motivated. And I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like I say, this is what you dream for. This is what you've been waiting on. This is what, you know what I'm saying, why it's easy to get out the bed and go run. It's easy to go to the gym and train, you know, because you have something special to attain to. So like I say, he's doing good. And um, you know, but another thing too, besides his will, is he's a student of the game. You know, like he said, I was a fan of Earl Spence. You know, just being a boxer when he fought Gamboa. You know, I was a fan of Gamboa. You know, we used to go home and watch him. You know what I'm saying? So, like I say, being a fan and a student of the game and working hard. You know, and when I say working hard, it's like Andre Ward said. If you've seen his documentary, how he said, you know, even Roy Jones, you know, being, you know, doing the same thing over and over, repetition, you know, so you can, you know, get things just right down pat. And, you know, I think he definitely a student of that. And I think that's you know, what helps him a lot, being a real true student of the game.
Right, right. Shout out to everybody in the comments. Shout out to Coach Dirt for linking us up. Make sure you guys smash this like button. This will be on the YouTube channel. Um, but nonetheless, man, you know, we talk about welterweight fights,
Yeah.
big welterweight fights. We talk about, you know, Hearns and Leonard. We talk about Oscar De La Hoya and Trinidad. This is our era of welterweights coming up July 29th. How do you see this fight
Well,
going?
you know, a lot of guys see another thing too. That's the only thing they can point to is Tommy Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard, Oscar De La Hoya, and Trinidad. That's all they say. But you still gotta remember that Trinidad. I mean that Oscar De La Hoya and Corte was a huge fight. Uh, you know,
Yeah.
nobody don't.
Pernell Whitaker and
Yeah, that was true too, but that was more like a passing of the torch type of thing. You know, it was a big fight, but Pernell was on the downslide. You know, he was on his way out. When we talking about Ike Corte was at the height of his career. You know, so nobody talks
mhm.
about that fight. Nobody talks about Ike Corte, which was a more exciting fight than him and Trinidad actually. And then it's another fight that comes to mind too was Donald Curry and Milton McCrory for the unified titles at welterweight. It was McCrory had from the Kronk had the WBC, and Donald Curry had the IBF and the WBA. So, um, you know what I'm saying? That fight with McCrory got knocked out in the second round by Donald Curry. Uh, you know, and then Donald Curry ended up losing unexpectedly to Lloyd Hunnigan from England. So, like I say, you know, it's so many other welterweight fights that come to mind besides those two guys. But these guys, it's an epic fight. Um, I think, you know what I mean. It's a pick 'em fight, but I think that, you know, this guy is just a foil for us. I think it always been for us to reach the heights of boxing. I think we attained that, and you know, every boxer has to have a nemesis. You know, you have to have somebody to propel you to that, you know, to that next stratosphere, whether it be in the public's mind or you know, just for, like I say, status and competition wise. You need that, you know. So I think that's just where we fall in with Earl Spence at. I think that's just where it's at. When I watched the interviews, the press conferences, you could see you could see Derrick James. He said, "Well, Earl Spence was like Earl Spence has been he has been, can I say, groomed for this? You know what I mean? Groomed. They like baby him and figured, you know, we gonna try to make this guy the best we can make him, you know, depending on like I say, the Olympic class, you know, everybody, the top guys. And I think he was a good fighter too. Like I say, I watched him in the Olympics too. He's a good fighter, but where do we put him? So, you know, I think they strategically placed him right. That's why we didn't get the fight for so long. I don't think they seen us coming. I think that we came out of left field, you know, being that we the smaller guy. They was never expecting us. He was going to take over after Keith Thurman. He was going to beat Keith Thurman to solidify him as the best welterweight in the world. That's what, just my personal opinion, they was thinking. They didn't see Bud coming, you know. And like I said, I was watching like you say, Boxing Ego. I was watching Boxing Ego, and like he said, you know, Bud, when it wasn't no competition there, he got out of there. Like I say, you know, Victor Postal was the most feared guy at 140. Danny Garcia paid him a step aside fee to go, you know, to not fight him, and so he was the feared guy at 140. You know what I'm saying? And we stopped him, and Dongo was on a tear, had never lost, went to each of his fighters' hometown and beat those guys in their hometown. You know, and I think one of those guys was like 48-0 or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Even at that, you know, to get 48, that's a big number, you know. So this guy must have been kind of decent. You know, you might not know him, and I think that we suffer somewhat by fighting foreign guys instead of American guys. And I think that the Americans, that's why they are perceived as so popular, because we in America, and they was putting them on like regular TV, Fox and everything like that. And, you know, they was publicizing them guys, and, you know, they had that platform. So I think that was where we, you know, where we kind of missed it at, being that we had to fight a lot of foreigners, even though they was good guys, they were foreigners. And so, you know, and then when we got those guys, you know, each one of those guys drew a line. You know, any of them guys, they all drew a line from Mikey Garcia up, you know, all the way to Earl Spence. They drew a line, you know, and I say this all the time. You can go back to any interview of any of those guys, and you will see them all have a reason not to fight Bud. You know, I got Mikey Garcia sitting in the car talking about he moves too much and all this, and then you got Keith Thurman saying he don't want the WBO, and Sean Porter never mentioned them, and nobody never threw Sean Porter Bud's way while he was doing what he was doing. And Sean Porter never mentioned that, man, I'm going to step outside the box and fight Bud Crawford for a unification. You know, so like I say, you know, everybody never fight these guys. And then when you look at these guys, when you break their resume down, now Bud is a 3-division world champion, and how you slice it, no matter however you slice it. These guys are 1-division champions except for Danny Garcia. And again, Danny Garcia fled the 40-pound division to get away from Postal and, you know, paid the step aside fee to, you know, wherever, do whatever. So then again, when you break down these guys' resumes, you know, like you see Spence trying to break down Bud's resume at 140 and trying to discredit him. But like I say, I think Travansky was 48-0. Ricky Burns is a 3-division world champion. You know, some people age well, some people don't. And Dongo, he went on a losing spree after Bud. But like I say, Ricky Burns ended up winning the world title at a higher weight. So you just never know how a fighter gonna get after they're done. You know, some fighters is ruined. You know, William Joppy wasn't never the same after Trinidad did that to him. You know, David Reed wasn't never the same. But these guys is gold medalists, top guys. You know what I mean? But you'll never hear that. So, like I say, so again, I think this guy just a perfect foil for us. I think that, you know, like they say, they've been prepping this guy for, you know, trying to make him into a star, you know, and that's just what they're trying to do. I don't know if I can't say it didn't succeed, but I don't think it went as high as they wanted him to go, you know, being a face of boxing or whatever he was doing. You know, like I say, Earl Spence is a good fighter, but again, the strategic things that they did, again, was like, you know, fighting with Mikey Garcia, who really should have been fighting Gamboa. I mean, should have been fighting Lomachenko for the unification in lightweight, you know. But they used him in Dallas, which is his hometown, which is a mostly Hispanic town, which is a hugely Hispanic town. Let me say that. It's a lot of Hispanics in Dallas. And being from Dallas, you know what I'm saying, fighting a guy like Mikey Garcia, okay, of course they're going to bring that. Then they threw the history up and they threw all this stuff. But again, Mikey Garcia didn't have a snowball chance in hell. So they used him, and even which he said after the fight, he thanked Mikey Garcia for using his fans to come on to try to establish him as a pay-per-view attraction, you know, which is cool, which is
Correct.
okay. You know, I
Correct.
understand that in the business world. I dig that, but it's still fluff. You understand? It's not he
Hey.
talking about Sean Porter can't sell out a family cookout, but he wasn't gonna sell out a fucking cookout if it wasn't for Mikey Garcia. So then we go along with the guys who they fought. So let's just break this down. Okay, Sean Porter beat Devin Alexander, who was truly a 40-pounder, never a dominant 47-pounder, which I love Devin Alexander. But Sean Porter was a 65-pounder in the amateurs. Everybody knows that, fought in the Olympic trials at 65. Devin Alexander was a 32-pounder. You understand? Was a 32-pounder. Like I say, nationally the smaller man. And Sean Porter beat him for the title. That was it. I don't even know how many title defense, but he lost to Kell Brook. That's his best win at welterweight. He beat Malignaggi, who was a light puncher, who was not considered a top welterweight, and really a smaller guy, a 32-pounder coming out the amateurs, a 140-pounder challenge Cotto for the title. Tough guy, though, because he took a beating from Cotto when he stayed in there. But we got Malignaggi. That's who he beat. Berto was past it when Sean Porter jumped on him. So his best win was, who the fuck did I say? Sean Porter, he beat Devin, and he beat Danny Garcia for the vacant title or something more. He took the title from Danny Garcia. No, Danny Garcia beat Robert Guerrero, who was a 26-pounder and all that, and was past his prime, past his best when Danny Garcia beat him for the vacant title at 47. So who did Danny Garcia beat? Okay, so again, so now we're going on with just perception and being around and being popularity. Now, popular, of course, because they're American guys, they on American television and this and that. But who did Danny Garcia beat at welterweight? Nobody. Who did like I say, Sean Porter beat at welterweight? Nobody. Like I say, Devin.
Their best wins right now are Sean Porter at
Exactly.
welterweight.
And now, like I say, now Sean Porter was the guy that fought everybody. So we get, and he went tooth and nail. Never was really outclassed in none of those fights. Everything was close. So Sean Porter get a lot of credit for that. But did he win? No. Just like Bud said on $1 Million Game. But Danny Garcia did the same thing, fought tooth and nail with them guys, except for Earl Spence, but he lost, right? So what did they really do at welterweight? You understand? What did they really do at welterweight? So it's really not much of a difference. And then we go on that, then like I say, besides we stopped Sean Porter. And Sean Porter, who lived a vegan lifestyle, never had a scandal, never been in no trouble, never did nothing, had a tune-up fight. Bud, they was off the same amount of time, and Bud stopped him, okay? Then you got Kell Brook. Okay, now you go with Earl Spence. You got Kell Brook. Kell Brook beat Sean. That was his best win with Sean Porter. Now, you got Kell Brook, of course, taking the money to go up there, fight Triple G, put on all that weight. Coach Dirt, I see you, baby. Put on all that weight, and then he had to come back down. They didn't even let this man get in a tune-up fight or nothing before they went straight at him. You understand? Because he got the power behind him, the Al Haymon machine, and so they made him go right into losing weight to get back down to 40, 47, and then he goes to this guy after his eye busted, no time to rest, no fight in between. Then he fights him tooth and nail, matter of fact. Tooth and nail, he went with Kell Brook. Tooth and nail, right? So, like I say, then that was he beat for the IBF title. Danny Garcia, wait, who he beat for the WBC title? Was it, who the fuck was it? WBC, oh, Sean Porter, okay, and everybody, a lot of people thought he lost that fight. A lot of people lost that fight, but he got the machine behind him and the drop in the.
I had Porter up before the knockdown.
And so at the same time, that's only, I argue, if you watch it again, I think Sean Porter from watching it, only watched it that one time. From watching it the first time, he was he won the first 7 rounds. Sean Porter won the first 7 rounds. He was on his ass. But like I say, this guy Earl Spence, he's hung in there. He's stuck in and fought his fight. But to me, it don't make much sense if you listen to. Now I'm going off his words. Now you're thinking about Earl Spence, and I'm gonna go back to Bernard Hopkins too, because they say he's the better fighter. He's this. But listen, what kind of sense did this make? Earl Spence said he wanted to fight Sean Porter's fight, and Soriano, I see you. He wanted to fight Sean.
He said the same thing with Mikey. How you gonna say I'm a boxer?
Now listen. Now
dude?
Why? Now okay. Now listen. Why would I brawl with a brawler when that's his style? Okay. Now, why would I box with a boxer when I got the size advantage over this guy, so I should stop him. Then, okay, I got the size advantage. I got the size advantage with this guy to keep up with him. So why not box him? Why would I let him run me all around? You watch Earl Spence. I mean, his head is down. He running all around that ring, fighting for dear life around the motherfucker. Why? It's so that don't make sense in his IQ if you listen to what he's saying. You know what I'm saying? Why would I? That don't make no sense. So, you know, but again, you know, it's a lot of propaganda going on, and I mean, you know what I'm saying? If anybody, you know, educated, you know what propaganda is, and you know, they say me, you know, that's a lot of hype. They call me hype, but I ain't no hype. I'm truth. You know, I'm telling the truth. I'm a truth teller. I'm not a hype man. I'm a truth teller. Even when I'm preaching in the gym or I'm talking in the gym, I'm telling these guys the truth. I'm not lighting a fire under them with fake shit. You understand?